In the bottom left was the blue Protoss for Team BIG. He is ShoWTimE.
If you were Cass, what builds would you bring to the series against ShoWTimE?
My fantasy ripoff build.
Which one's that?
All right. I call it the ultimate cheese. All right. You proxy a barracks for one Reaper, and you add a reactor to it while you're proxying a factory as well. Then you build 3 Hellions while you're building a starport. So you build Marines, 3 Hellions, a medevac. And whilst the medevac is building, you build a fusion core also in proxy. And then you Hellion drop into tanks and a battle cruiser, and you push their front while the battle cruiser stabs them in the back. It's amazing. Works.
Who did you do this
90%.
against?
Everyone on ladder that I can face. Every time I get a TVP. And I would do it to ShoWTimE.
Do you think ShoWTimE would have a good answer?
I think he'd just open up 2 gateways and kill me.
that is the gutter, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But otherwise, I don't have any good suggestions for Koss, honestly. I mean, the whole thing about ShoWTimE is that, the wall is not just him in a straight up game being impenetrable. It's also because he deals rather well with these weird, wacky builds. I mean, if he didn't, then Thermal would have an amazing win record against them. And as far as I know, it's even or ShoWTimE favorite, actually, for him and Thermal.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's how you get to be known as, the guy who can defend everything, right? You don't get to be the defender just because you defend harassment. You defend all of the things. And yeah, I don't necessarily think it would work either, but is it maybe your best shot? Possibly. Go out with something weird and crazy enough, like battle cruisers while tank Hellion push dropping, whatever it was. Why don't we just add Ghost in as well as EG, at this rate?
That is absurd. You can't afford that. Don't be silly.
All right, you can afford BC's tanks on all of this in one base.
Yeah, you can. Legitimately, though, Fantasy did that build. I don't remember. He might not have proxied the barracks or the factory. I think he kept one at home. But otherwise, it was honestly everything I just said. I actually stole that build from him. So the 2 things that it dies to is one is a 2-gate opener. You're just kind of screwed. And the second one is a cannon rush because your barracks not at home. Yep. So that's created some weird games.
I mean, play on the NA server, I'm sure you run into the cannon rushes a fair amount.
I do, well, because I play random, that's like the Protoss default against me, which is fair enough. The other default is just tapping out against me.
Maybe that free MMR.
I do need a lot of free MMR. I am that scumbag on ladder, officially.
Adept gonna cancel the Shade. Wants that SCV. Will get it in the end. I mean, the Hellion and 2 Marines chasing. He wants another SCV. He will get that too. So 3 workers killed. So far, already looking pretty good here for ShoWTimE. Not a bad start in the slightest.
I honestly have not been paying very much attention.
Neither have I. I just saw those Adept in the main kill and stuff. So I was just like, yeah, Adept! It's doing great.
It really is, though. And the Oracle comes up afterwards and is going to grab as many kills as it possibly can, which isn't a lot because it 3-shots these suckers now, but yeah, just not a strong start for Koss, who also isn't doing anything tricky. I mean, maybe turning this into that Cyclone Viking build he can do against a Stargate would have been one of those well, fair enough, you try and kill him early, but even that's not what he's planning on doing. It's not going to work.
Yep. As we do try to get rid of these Oracles, but you do nothing but shield damage to them, so they get away. They're going to be able to come back and make your life annoying later on as well, and then they've got Phoenix production too, so this is going to be obviously anti-Stargate set up from Cass with plenty of Stargate coming through from ShoWTimE. I mean, from ShoWTimE's point of view, this is a very safe way of playing, it's a very secure way of playing, and that's, for the moment, what we set up to.
Neil, you were pointing out that Koss in the mid-game, he gets a couple drops going, maybe he actually does catch ShoWTimE off guard, and he can carry through with momentum. Koss is certainly a great enough Terran player that if he gets that started, he'll also carry through, despite your very valid point that he's not the best macros, mechanics aren't perfect. You just have to get there, and to already take all these lashes, it doesn't mean this mid-game is going to be very good much at all, and if you can't get a single drop going, then I I don't really have a lot of faith in his main engagements. I would against a lot of other Protosses. I've been quite impressed with Costa's TVPs, but just not against ShoWTimE. Not that often.
Yeah. Robobay and a couple gates coming through still. As we just have ShoWTimE set himself up. It is so tough to just break ShoWTimE. It's like, especially when ShoWTimE plays like Phoenix, right? It's just saying like, hey, I'm already really good at defending. Now I'm gonna be even better at defending.
Kind of covers all of his bases.
Yeah.
Might not be something he does all the time, especially against someone who he's scared of playing against. Like, a Korean Terran has been ShoWTimE's weakness a lot of the times. But against someone that he's going to be feeling very confident against, playing a nice, safe Phoenix, Stargate opener, and then we're going into Phoenix Colossus, the charge accompanying, because you don't really need Blink. Yeah. It's, he's going to maybe, I think, have Cost punch him once, and not very convincingly, and then maybe counter and win, is how I see this game going.
Well, Cyclones show up, and they're going to get rid of an Adept. It's a nice little pick off. At least something, take some map control. Is it bad I'm always just cheering for like anything to happen for Cass? I know like not much has happened. He took some working damage early, which wasn't great, but I also feel like I shouldn't be like already kind of like, come on Cass, anything will do right now. I feel like I'm being a little bit harsh.
Bring up that income graph. It's like, yeah, I probably should be cheering for any little thing.
I mean, like it's founded on the fact that he lost so many workers early, and it doesn't like that many workers that early is obviously a pretty big deal. As, ooh, Phoenix missed the medevac. Go Cass. Yes. Fill that pylon.
Just get it. Get it, girl.
Hey, that was good micro, to be fair. He actually pulled the medevac back, kept the Marines forward, zoned the Phoenix. That was the right way to play that moment. So, yeah, capitalizing on ShoWTimE's mistake of leaving the medevac alive. No! You know, that was almost 200 IQ. He almost baited the Phoenix into the Marines with the low HP medevac with that died, so it wasn't really very good.
If it had a couple more hit points, yeah, that would have actually been pretty cool. Koss this is the one punch I was pretty much talking about. He's not all inning, he's at a third CC on the way, so it's not that I think that he's going to just commit to do or die here. I just think that's how the game will actually go. ShoWTimE's taken such a lead in such a powerful position that if Koss commits to any type of push, I honestly believe ShoWTimE will just kind of receive it, deal with it, and then counter and win. And it might not even be because his build or his plan is set up that way, but just because he knows he's in such a good position. And he's not even waiting to be punched. He's going to actually push out a little bit, realize he could be found out of position, pull back, but then tear off a chunk of Zealots to go harass the third.
Love the group, by the way. Just quickly mention, it was just on the screen that ShoWTimE and Reno already the only undefeated players in this group. If that remains true after the day, it could be in for a cool ShoWTimE Reno match further down the line, fighting for first place. I suppose it's worth mentioning that it's kind of crazy. 2 match days in, and everyone apart from those two have lost one. Fun group ahead of us as we do have ShoWTimE obviously set up for this attack. I mean, this is a minefield. And that's going to make it quite difficult to actually attack on him for ShoWTimE. He's still going to try and continue through. There's so many mines still available, but there's also 0 answer for 3 Colossi, and they are going to be the damage dealers that Cass just has no real response to.
Nope, and that is one of the powerful points of this push. Yes, it's a lot because ShoWTimE was in the lead. He knew he could control the game, but also that's the power that Colossus can give you. You can sometimes overextend, as seen here. That concave of Marauders will live through even 3 Colossus trying to swipe at them. So that's always usually the game, the dance that happens. Poking forward, do you have enough? Okay, let's pull back. For now, Koss has enough, but ShoWTimE's on 4 bases, 84 workers. And unless he just gives Koss the 3 Colossus, he's still going to be able to, control this area. Without Vikings, Koss, he's got to jump on it, which he does. Going to grab one of those Colossus, but lose like 5 Marauders for it. Still has plenty more behind it. Going to kite away from the Zealots. The 2 Colossus are laser grouping down Command Center. They weren't helping those Zealots much at all.
For the first round, obviously, was initially the fact that the Zealots got all blown up by the Widow Mines. The second round, obviously, with no Widow Mines, the Zealots are meant to be scary, but it was 1-1 against 0-0. Now the upgrades even up. Maybe ShoWTimE can make that attack be a bit more successful, but now the supplies have evened out a little bit. He's going to take it to the main base with a few Zealots. He's going to warp in a massive round of Zealots here as well. So Cass going to have to deal with this. That maybe leaves the door open for the attack at the front to come back in, although at the moment, Cass isn't really sending much of anything back to deal with that, as one of those two Widow Mines does manage to burrow up, and SCV still going. I mean, Kaz just didn't send anything. He's just completely waiting for ShoWTimE to move in at the front, but ShoWTimE just says, well, if you don't respond to the attack, the move out doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's kind of... You have to have enough units to take things both sides into consideration, which you didn't quite have, but not responding at all is just... It's also bad, you know? Doesn't really... A good opportunity either way. You dice it for cost. He does clean up the main base, but then might have trouble cleaning up this army as the Warp Prism doesn't quite fall. Saves one of the Colossus. Warping still happens despite this one Viking trying to kill the Warp Prism. It finally grabs it, and the Zealots are getting mowed down. Just the Stalkers and Colossus left over. Disruptor Shot is going to buy that room, perhaps. Yeah, he's got 4 of them. So, oh my god. Either buy the room or just hit all the Marauders. Either one's good enough.
Yeah, that works pretty well. These few Marauders coming through, and it's going to clean up that Zealot. We still see +2 attack coming through. Widow Mines, Marauders, and Marines all building up. It's going to be seeing our army just kind of coming back from ShoWTimE, taking a few moments, but man, all of a sudden ShoWTimE is just exploding into everything. 2-2, you know, DT blink, a disruptor count rises up. I mean, ShoWTimE is just ending up in a fantastic position here, given a bit of time to work with.
To take a moment and kind of give Koss some serious credit, like, he is... I really did think he was in that position that this skill level of players, I thought ShoWTimE was going to win with that one push. But Koss is showing just exactly what we were talking about, that in the mid-game, he can actually be quite a feisty Terran. Like, his macro is certainly great enough to get all these Marauders. Then he knows what to do with them when he gets there. He's not foolish enough to take an engagement that he knows he can't win or doesn't have to. And he defends. Now, ShoWTimE's attacking while also doing everything perfectly back at home, which is the crux of the problem here for Koss. But a lot of other Terrans just would have crumbled right then and there. Full of the SCVs, but even further behind. And Koss, he is living. He's even denying these DTs quite well, actually. Being able to take out every single one would be a big loss of gas. Doesn't get all of them. And actually, oh no, this pulls him so out of position. Oh, well, that's going to be the real problem.
It was not a bad chase. It's like DTs, but then yeah, this army moves in. That's what ShoWTimE's so good at. He's already got that next move happening. Kaz is gonna somewhat kind of fight this, which I don't like because the base is already gone. So pull back, just let more reinforcements come through, fight in the more open area. Maybe you want to make use of his stim that was already activated. Perhaps you could argue. See if DTs here likely just to hop into that prism, make their way up into the main, and again we go from there for the next step. Disruptor shots flying through, connects from a bunch of units, doing very well with that. I mean, this is obviously ShoWTimE at this stage, absolutely getting to the point where he is just got so much, and unfortunately Castles doesn't have the tech to keep on point with what ShoWTimE is bringing to the table. DT's in the main base as well. GG is called. I think you said credit to Cass, credit to Cass, because he was kind of dead for a long time, and he actually took a couple fights that made the game even again and gave him another fighting chance. So it was definitely it was definitely a big plus.
He took a couple of fights that if ShoWTimE was also a worse player or overestimate, he was a more cocky player, honestly. Like either one, I think he does suddenly go, oh shoot, a worse player or a more courageous player would have lost those Colossus, being like, no, I should win here. Like, no, stop living. And then I think that does reset a lot of things. Those are very expensive, slow building units. And then maybe he could drop as well because he's not under pressure anymore, so on and so forth. But we saw the skill level of both players, I think, accurately represented there. ShoWTimE played pretty much perfectly. He's not missing that killer instinct that he sometimes, did in previous years. He did exactly the push that I thought he was going to do, and it was the correct thing to do, and he used it correctly. He just couldn't kill a guy who was also playing very well, just not well enough, especially because he took so much damage early on.
Yeah. It was the early damage as well that really set it apart, right? Because so much of that gameplay is so differently if you take the first 6 worker kills and so on out of it. Then maybe we get to see Cass play a game. In this case, Cass was just playing from, behind kind of from the get-go. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you have a better early game. And to be fair, early game is one of the easier things to fix, right? It's kind of an obvious problem. You say, well, I didn't deal with that well. I didn't do that part right. I could change my build like this. And if you can do those things, you can genuinely put yourself in a better position. That's kind of what Cass needs to do for this game too. It's a quick turnaround, but it's not like it's a late game issue where it's like, oh, I played so well, and then late game, and that really takes a deep dive to figure out the problems of. So maybe Cass can turn it around a little bit. Stronger early game. Maybe something aggressive on light shade. It's possible. We'll find out. We'll see what he wants to do. In the bottom right-hand corner of the map from StarCraft, down again, but putting up a fight. It is Cass.
They finally did it.
Yeah.
Unoriginal. The top left has the blue Protoss for Team BIG. He's ShoWTimE.
You know what, though? I didn't even realize. I thought it was just the clip.
We actually just anticipated it being so long.
Yeah, I went off to make some food, came back, it was still going. I was like, yeah. I knew we had this much time. It was fine.
It's exactly. It's like when they say like intro, and we're like, all right, got 5 minutes, gonna jog around the block.
Yeah.
Intro is beautiful. I'm just kidding.
The intro is beautiful, but it is long. Yeah. It's like we're playing the intro. Be ready, and I'm like, right, time to take my break.
Exactly. I actually, while we were in Sweden, I took the time to actually sit and really watch it. Because, usually I'm just like, oh,
you didn't sit and really watch it all this time, just played while you're casting?
I'm sorry. I remember the first time it was shown. And our producer was like, it's so cool, right? And I was like, oh, it was kind of long. I wasn't really paying attention.
No.
That was pretty much what I said. But anyways, I actually watched it, and I was like, okay, you know what? This is actually kind of cool. Like, yeah, there's actually some pretty good shit. Like, StarCraft is a pretty game.
Did you also start picking apart all the things that are factually incorrect?
No, because I'm not a nerd. Push up your
like
glasses more, Wardy.
Well, like Vikings shooting ground units? That's not nerdy. That's just common sense. You're a Terran player.
I mean, Vikings take on Ultras all the time, Wardy.
When they're landed,
so different?
Not when they're in the skies, e.g. Major difference.
Okay, well, I clearly didn't pay enough attention.
Yeah, clearly not, because we've been discussing this for a year now. This can't possibly be news to you.
I thought we all learned that we only listen to each other about 60% of the time. Isn't that? That's what Fear Dragon tells me, anyways. Oh, have you not been told this, Wardy? Oh, am I,
that we only listen to each other 50% of the time?
60%.
50, 60, it is a number that goes around there. Yeah.
I couldn't tell if you were in on the joke or not. Anyways, we got another Stargate opening.
Maybe I was. Maybe I was.
Did you? Did you watch any of yesterday? Or I guess you probably checked out the results, but did you listen
I saw a lot of
the
the results. I didn't see a lot of the games yesterday.
So you missed the epic banter that was the Muslim product.
Oh, I saw this thing about them not knowing the Hulk or something.
Oh, that was so good. Muslims wheeze was so funny. Oh, God. Yes. But then the Muslim tried to have an analogy where, you thermal threw boulders onto a train. And Rodder, we just, wouldn't let it go. And you know what happens? You know what? The reason I'm bringing this up is that I think no matter where you are in the world as a commentator, it's about now, I guess 5 hours into the broadcast, that it seems like you just kind of get all loopy. We're just yeah, Oracle's fine, I guess. Stuff is happening. Intros are good. We're real professionals.
Intro's on for it's also the point where production played the intro for 10 seconds more than they should have done, and we're just yeah, that's normal. It's whatever.
Yeah. Consummate professionals. That's what they tell. That's what they say. What has happened in this game?
There was an Oracle flying around. You already summarized the CG literally moments ago.
It's true. It's actually all that's really happened. The Reaper finally went down after some grooving, but I guess that means that it's ultimately a better game for Koss, because he didn't lose as many SCVs. But ShoWTimE's also not going into... is he? He's not going into Phoenix Colossus? No, he's not.
That's cool. Switch up a little bit. Pilot Robo. I like it. Different way to play. Only one Phoenix, obviously, so yeah, just nice and different, changing it up. I don't mind it. You know, you've had your game where you played that a little bit safer, you that one map up. You know, play the style that isn't as defensive, mix it up, and that's obviously just powerful for you in the series in general, right? Just not playing the same every time.
Alien got into the main base somehow, some way. I don't know if they actually saw what it wanted to. Saw Twilight Council. I mean, I guess the robo was at the natural. So I actually did see pretty much everything. An Oracle goes down, other one severely weakens, reducing maybe some risk of being scouted when Koss is finally ready to push out. So the early game, it's better for Koss, and that's not really where we were impressed with Koss. Now that he's gotten to the mid game, and I think officially we can say that, I am looking forward to what he can do when he has, you know, a correct attack, a correct opportunity, something he can actually work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I am looking forward to it too, because I have seen Koss play some TVP lately, and it genuinely has had some cool games and some cool moments. So let's see what this Stim Combat +1 will lead us to. As we get this set up, Charges going to be finishing in just a few moments' time here from ShoWTimE. As obviously that will be a major part of his defense as well. Just that will go a long way in helping to defend. So he's kind of somewhat well set up. We actually now, by the way, go into Phoenix and Colossus. So apparently ShoWTimE didn't want to stay away from that for too long. Just wanted the faster charge this time.
Yeah, good point. Just went right into charge. I mean, he set up his 3 bases first and foremost, and then, yeah, right into charge. Which has worked out fine. He might not have more than 1 Colossus for this defense, but he has a buttload of charge lots. And I don't think Koss is actually quite prepared to handle that. He's got to, you know, hope his only 2 Widow Mines would pop off. So he scans. He's going to respect that. What I am curious about for Koss's sake, though, is that is he actually misreading this as something that is going to turn into Blink, like charge Blink, like where are the stalkers? Or is he anticipating the Colossus as well? Because he hasn't seen the Phoenix yet either.
Yeah, it's tough because then you obviously you just are in the dark a little bit, so it's hard to kind of predict what you're about to be up against, but that's what this push is meant to find out a little bit of, right? You're meant to go and kind of go across and have the versatility to be like, oh, okay, you're kind of, you know, I found where your army is, I get to check what's in that army, then I can either fight or pull back. That's what this drop allows you to do too. That's just being kind of passive for the 3rd CC, just finishing starts to float down to location. It's gonna take him a few moments till he gets set up on that, and these medevacs are flying right into the Phoenix, and that is unfortunately he's gonna fly by. I don't think he realized quite how many Phoenix there were gonna be here, and he's just gonna lose these medevacs. Okay, the units get to unload, but the Widow Mines get lifted up. A couple of them do burrow. Yeah, I mean, I think this is what we call good enough for ShoWTimE, although he did lose maybe 1 or 2 Phoenix more than I thought.
That could have been worse, I suppose. The medevac could have flown literally into all the Phoenix, but that goes back to where I was like, I don't know if Koss actually really knows what's up, because then had he known officially, like, had Phoenix has shown themselves aggressively and then went back home, I don't think he tries that without scanning first, because he had no idea what was there as far as anti-air defense goes. He kind of pushes it and loses it as well. Now down 35 supply. The only thing he's got going for him are upgrades. ShoWTimE got a really fast 3rd base and a lot of charge lots, and still got to Colossus. Well, something had to be given up, so that is upgrades. These charge lots going to get hit by the Widow Mine, and that softens up what is already weaker charge lots than normal. The fodder for the Colossus just simply disappears, and that 30 supply lead, I guess, was all in those charge lots. So ShoWTimE rightfully is like, okay, man, I'll pull back. That's cool.
Yep. Yeah, really nice time to just get out of there, because you don't want to let things get too crazy. Again, Koss has that upgrade lead, right? And it just makes it that little bit tough to really take some of these fights. It was similar in the last game. ShoWTimE just had the later upgrades, which is fine. Like, his style kind of plays around that. You focus on all the other tech before you focus on upgrades. But it leaves you at this point where some of these fights are just not getting anywhere, because the bio can shred the Zealots with the help of Widow Mines and stuff, and yeah, you just don't really kind of get very far before your buffer's gone, and then you're kind of left on just kind of fragile units.
And it really was also that the Zealots were chasing for so long. There was no force fields to keep that army contained, so the Colossus and the charge lots work together, because then that army is still pretty powerful. But without it, the charge lots disappear. ShoWTimE is still in a great position. He still has the supply lead, the economic lead. And now the upgrades have really evened up. Another drop's going to be denied by Phoenix, too. So not much done there. Kind of opens up the middle as Koss moves upwards towards the 4th base. He's got some time. Get there, get the concave situate his Widow Mines, and maybe maybe scare ShoWTimE. I don't think he can actually do very much here. But, yeah, maybe take out some of the Zealots.
Yeah.
He's going to do exactly that.
I mean, the Zealots are pretty much all you can get, though, right? Because then anything else, the Colossi just going to deal too much damage. Those Phoenix are chasing as well. And he is just scarpering out of that. He knows he can't stick around. Meanwhile, ShoWTimE knows he actually kind of wants to push this fight. He wants to try and push the issue as much as he can. So it's exactly what he will go for, chasing as far as possible.
Very nice anti-warp prism defense. Very nice. Koss can now focus entirely on the defense. He scans ahead, sees the army is still roaming about, and it's an army that can pounce at any time. It is powerful enough, even though the warp prism's elsewhere. Also, Widowmine is doing some scouting.
Yeah.
Kicked off. So Koss really needs to get these EMPs, and he needs to get a really good concave. So the fact that he's currently situated on the ramp, kind of like ready to go left or right, is a little concerning. Couple force fields could be big here. He does respond perhaps in time. I think ShoWTimE's looking for the force fields. Koss looks for the EMP, and does, I guess, with that little dance. We'll push ShoWTimE back for now.
Yep. Yeah, ShoWTimE is going to go around the other way, though, and then he's going to end up on a 4th, and Cass has just not moved his army, and this feels like something we saw a little bit of earlier, right? You know, just kind of Cass all of a sudden not quite being where he needs to be for this. It's a little bit tough. Ooh, disruptors. Wow.
He almost got a huge hit. ShoWTimE setting up the backstab with disruptors was just a little too fast on the trigger. But it doesn't really matter because Koss's army is still getting taken down by the full might of the Protoss army. It doesn't matter that he has a +2 upgrade. 3 Colossus going just undefended. They're getting all of their shots and then some. The Marauders do a magnificent job surviving as long as they possibly can, tearing through the Zealots, Sentries, Stalkers, even the Immortal goes down. But there's so much more ShoWTimE left over. There's the reinforcing charge lots as well. And that is going to be a 2-0, even though Koss not quite prepared to admit it. Gonna stand his ground once again in his natural. It's just way too far gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Just gonna see the couple of Zealots just getting pushed back that little bit. So you're gonna have our army on ShoWTimE still just kind of pushing through here. Fire just shows up, grabs a Colossus. These few Zealots are gonna try and jump on the Marines and Marauders. Also, we continue to push on through. And it's gonna be seen a disruptor shot gonna just land on his own Zealots. Okay, well that wasn't quite it, but yeah, the numbers are still here for ShoWTimE anyway. Zealots coming in from the other side, and this kind of was a series of Cass putting up a decent fight, but ShoWTimE just always seemingly having the edge, right? And that's just the difference.